Thanks everybody for coming out to pitch day for 100K. I think you guys know this is one of my favorite days of the fortnight. Today we're going to hear from Ansley Fender from Atlas Solutions. For those who are new to our program, Startup NV, that's us. We're Nevada's statewide nonprofit startup accelerator and incubator. We operate 3 nonprofit programs for entrepreneurs or founders, if you prefer, and 4 investment funds and syndicates to make investments in the founders in our community. Our nonprofit operation is supported by grants and sponsors in the near term, and over the long term by participating accelerator companies who pledge a teeny tiny bit of equity to our nonprofit, which we hope will be worth tons of money in the future, so that we can grow a foundation that can continue to do what we do for many decades to come. So we run pitch day for 100K every other Wednesday, or as I like to say, fortnightly, where companies pitch for the Q&A that they get from this group and for entry into our accelerator program, which comes with an investment from Fund NV, which is our pre-seed fund, that's added to generally by individual investors from our syndicate and from our LP group and our investment committee. Our average investment to date has been about $124,000. And then that money, whatever it is that we invest, is matched by our SSBCI program with the state of Nevada. So we've made 16 direct investments in 2021 and 2022 so far, ranging from $50,000 on the low end to $1.3 million on the high end. So now for the legal disclaimer, the founders who are pitching today, or the founder who's pitching today for investment, are pitching to our SEC approved venture capital fund and to our accredited investor syndicate. The pitches today are directed to our investors, but the entire community is encouraged to attend and listen for educational purposes, kind of like watching Shark Tank, although I don't think we're as mean as the sharks on Shark Tank when we do ask our questions. This educational component is critical to our mission of growing Nevada's startup ecosystem and diversifying our state's economy. So once again, the pitches today are not a general solicitation for investment from the community. It's only soliciting an investment from our approved SEC venture fund. Now, for information on our programs and for entrepreneurs and accredited investors and checking out how to get engaged with us, head to startupnv.org and you'll see lots of information there. So thanks for tolerating the disclaimer. So our nonprofit work with entrepreneurs, along with people interested in startups and investing, would not be possible without the financial help from our sponsors and supporters. The City of Las Vegas, the Nevada Governor's Office of Economic Development, or as we like to call them, GOED, Ide Bailey and KPMG. These are awesome organizations that help us with the work that we do. And if you're someone or know someone who also might like to help with financial support or in-kind services, please introduce me. I'd love to talk to them.
My name is Ansley Fender, and I am the founder and CEO of Atlas, the first grant management software that brings grant funders and recipients together in a single platform to recapture the $330 billion a year of grant funds that are lost to manual grant management. Grants are the common thread that bring together the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. Grants enable recipients to dream, innovate, and affect change in every community and in every aspect of our lives. But grants are one of the most complicated sources of funding. On the funder side, there's a 6 to 12 month lead up to actually deploying funds, which involves scoping out the grant program, releasing the request for proposal, and reviewing and scoring applications. Once the funds are actually released to the recipients, funders have to monitor the budgets and outcomes through periodic reporting, and then condense all of this reporting into a single impact narrative for their stakeholders. On the recipient side, grant seekers spend up to 3 days finding a grant that they qualify for, and up to 120 hours actually writing the grant proposal. Once the funds are received, recipients spend a year or more managing the finances, budgets, programs, tasks, documents, and outcomes. They also have to prepare periodic reports that can take a total of 12 working days throughout the entire grant term. Due to a lack of adequate and affordable technology to manage all of these processes, Most of this money is actually managed in spreadsheets or siloed platforms, which ends up costing an average of 20% of the funding, or $330 billion every single year. Now, grants are used to fund things like environmental cleanup, homeless prevention, space travel, education, and research and development. Imagine the impact that we could have by putting that $330 billion to work. The problem, though, isn't the organizations involved in the grant cycle, but a severe lack of technology to support the grant management process. Expecting grant funders and recipients to manage their funding portfolio manually is like expecting a startup to manage their operations without the hundreds of software tools available to them. Atlas's mission is to stand in the gap between innovation and execution. Our end-to-end collaborative platform includes a suite of tools that streamlines and automates finding, managing, and reporting on funding. Atlas is the first grant management software to bring grant funders and recipients together in a single platform. Many funders, such as municipalities and economic development agencies, are also recipients, which previously meant managing their funding input and output in dozens of spreadsheets or in 2 different platforms. With Atlas, organizations can manage incoming, outgoing, and pass-through grants, as well as collaborate with their funders and recipients directly inside Atlas. Our next phase of development involves building a machine learning algorithm to automate the grant searching process. We believe that artificial intelligence is the next innovation in grants. And after talking to lots of government and nonprofit stakeholders, there's an increasing demand for such a tool. So far, we have built a working prototype, but we have more work to do to make it commercially viable. Our entry market is economic development agencies for a serviceable, obtainable market of $440 million. From there, we will expand to our target market, which is 501c3 nonprofits, foundations, and research and development grant recipients, for a serviceable, addressable market of $5.8 billion. Our potential market is federal, state, and local government agencies for a total addressable market of $20 billion. Our software competitors are divided into 3 groups: a hack-together tech stack, GovTech, and nonprofit tech. The hack-together tech stack is usually a mix of tools like spreadsheets, Google Suite tools, QuickBooks, and some sort of project management tool. This method ends up segregating data, and in many cases actually ends up costing organizations more time to manage their funding. And they still have a really hard time articulating their impact. Major GovTech players are Deltec and eCivis, and major nonprofit tech players are Blackbaud, Instrumental, and Founded. These products cover only a small portion of the grant cycle or only one industry. Oftentimes, they're prohibitively expensive and require extensive onboarding and training time. And most of them are so complicated to use that most of their users only have like 1 or 2 employees that are trained on how to use them. Atlas's industry agnostic end-to-end platform not only covers the entire grant cycle, but it enables funders and recipients to work together so they can manage their funding and understand their collective real-time impact. We're currently experimenting with economic development agencies, research and development companies, and nonprofits to better understand which vertical should be our focus industry. We know that an organization's innovation factor is the largest predictor of a sales qualified lead, and we're trying to hone in on the variables that lead to a high innovation factor. So far, we know that things like proximity to innovative cities, windfall of grant funding, changes in leadership, and staff turnover weigh heavily. And based on customer discovery and user research, we believe that economic development agencies will be our industry of focus. But we have a few more weeks left in our experiment, which is going to run through the end of the year. Our marketing strategy includes a combination of cold outreach via email and LinkedIn messages, word of mouth marketing, video-based content marketing, and partnerships with grant industry professionals and regional grant hubs. As a two-sided software, we have the ability to sell directly to funders or to recipients. When we sell to recipients, they pay a tiered monthly or annual SaaS subscription based on the total dollar amount of grants that they're managing. This price ranges from $50 a month for managing up to $50,000 in grants, up to $1,000 a month for managing $1 million in grants. Over $1 million in funding, we give a custom quote because there are a lot of additional needs for organizations of this size, and we tend to be very, very high touch. When we sell to funders, they pay 2% of grant funds dispersed, and each of the recipients get to use the software for free to manage that one funding source. Customers also pay a one-time onboarding fee for which we load in all of their grant information, budgets, tasks, documents, and outcome metrics, as well as set up all of their user accounts and permissions and train the group of people that will be inside the software most frequently. Lastly, Atlas has a free tier that is designed for organizations that don't yet have grants. They get very basic features that they need to organize the grant application process. Once they mark a grant as won inside the system, we get a notification so that we can reach out and convert them to the paid tier. Since launching in July, we have 5 organizations paying to use the platform, and we're growing revenue at an average of 20 to 30% week over week. We're also adding about 5 entities to the pipeline each week, and we're in the final stages of closing a $50,000 to $100,000 contract with an escrow manager for the state of Indiana, and a $12,000 contract with a state-level small business development center. We also have 2 contracts worth about $20,000 waiting on a final decision, which we should have in about 2 weeks. Atlas's team is led by me. I'm a former financial consultant, and grant analyst, and a self-taught low-code developer. In my role, I manage design, product, sales, and marketing. Michael is Atlas's head of business development, and he has an extensive background in grant management and nonprofit consulting. He is the former head of business development for Civic Champs, which is a tech company working in the nonprofit industry, specifically on volunteer management. Michael currently manages sales in the nonprofit industry while we're conducting our go-to-market experiment. Jeff Zenst is a former managing director for Generator and current head of innovation for Agrinovus, Indiana, and he advises us on all things business development and growth. Simon Beverton is our technical advisor, and he's a developer and tech consultant with over 20 years of fintech experience. His company, which is called Future Wonder, actually built the prototype of the machine learning algorithm and will be building the full version. Ben Summers is the founder of Dingus Digital, which is a video and content marketing agency, and he advises us on content marketing, video creation, and marketing strategies for different industries and age groups. Atlas is currently raising a $500,000 seed round with $100,000 committed from Generator. This funding will give us 18 months of runway to grow revenue, hone our branding and messaging, and expand our offerings on the grant procurement side of the grant cycle. More specifically, we will use $280,000 to pay me and Michael and to hire an additional salesperson, as well as an intern to expand our grant database. $140,000 will be used to build a machine learning algorithm that will automate the grant searching process. $50,000 will be used for branding, marketing, and content marketing. The remaining $30,000 will be used for business development for a program aimed at helping small businesses and startups find and apply for grant funding. Grant funders and recipients already do so much with so little, which is made even more difficult by a lack of software to support the grant management process. Given our domain expertise, high-touch customer experience, price point, and user feedback, we are uniquely positioned to take advantage of this market opportunity. Thank you so much.